Go back and watch.
I saw the video.
Go back and watch the video. He gave her as much attention as any woman has given you in your entire frickin' life.
I'm wondering today if you're going to apologize to the Nebraska senator's husband for the remarks of calling him a white racist yesterday.
Okay, so I'll respond to that, and the answer will be no. But first of all, I find it very interesting that I just did a 30-minute interview with a grieving woman who saw. No. Okay. Excuse me. I'm. If you could just let me finish, and then I'll give you the opportunity. I find it interesting that I just did a 30-minute interview with the woman who just saw dozens of people die in front of her, and the first thing that enters your mind today, you're so angry that I called somebody who I still believe is a racist refusing to shake Kamala Harris's hand, and your grievance is not calling in with that woman or the dozens of people that lost their lives. Your grievance is to want me to apologize to a man who I believe is a despicable human being who was very giddy to shake Mike Pence's hand. But you want me to apologize? No, JD, the answer is no, because he's another middle-aged, old, crusty white guy who refused to even look Kamala Harris in the eyes when his wife was getting sworn in as Senator of Nebraska. I think he's a scumbag, and I will double down on what I said earlier. I think he's a racist piece of human garbage. And quite frankly, sir, if you want me to apologize to somebody like that, then maybe you condone that sort of behavior. Do you condone it?
No, I don't. I saw the video. He had a stroke a few months ago, and he had a cane in one hand and a Bible in the other hand.
So the reason why he wouldn't make... Hold on a second. Hold on. No. You're making an excuse that you think the reason why not only he wouldn't make eye contact or shake her hand is because he had a stroke. I can put that to bed right away because he shook plenty of hands last night. There's video of him shaking hands with plenty of Republicans last night. So you making a pathetic excuse, because that's exactly what you're doing. I saw a video last night in the chambers, and he was shaking hands with many of Republicans. So you tell me this, JD, because I'm not a doctor. Maybe you are. I don't know. So you tell me this, JD, okay? If you have a stroke, does that mean you can shake hands with people, but you just so happen to not be able to shake a hand of a black woman that happens to be a Democrat? Is that what a stroke does to you, JD?
He had a cane in one hand and the
Did
Bible
you just
in the
hear
other
what
hand.
Okay, so you're making an excuse because he was holding...
He nodded.
Oh, he nodded. Okay, so JD, I'll ask you again. He had a cane in his hand when he was shaking the hands of plenty of Republicans yesterday. Now, if you want to go with the excuse of he had a Bible in one hand and a cane in the other, and that's why he wouldn't even make eye contact with her. He shook plenty of hands earlier. There's a video of him shaking hands with plenty of some of her Republican colleagues. So you are making a pathetic excuse for somebody who I believe is another old, white, crusty Republican. So why don't you apologize?
You won't admit you're wrong. I saw the video.
I won't admit I'm...
He nodded. You let me talk.
He nodded. We're not talking about a nod, JD. We're talking about a handshake.
And he mouthed some words to her, which were inaudible, I guess, because he probably said thank
wasn't
you.
Inaudible. I'll tell you exactly what he said because, again, you don't know what you're talking about. If you hear the audio, which clearly you didn't because you only watched Newsmax and OAN and Fox Noise, and I think you actually probably share a lot of beliefs of this guy, by the way, to be frank. I think you and him are very similar in a lot of ways. With that being said, JD, I heard all the audio, and he didn't even want to get close to her. And Kamala Harris said, "You can get closer to me, I won't bite." Because it was an awkward moment because he didn't even want to stand next to her and he wouldn't even make eye contact with her, if you notice that. And then in the seconds after, Kamala Harris shrugs her shoulders. She says, okay, and kind of makes it sound like or reacts the way we all normal people reacted, which was he snubbed her. But he was very giddy, shaking the hand of Mike Pence. It also is interesting that you're making excuses for him that he had a stroke, but yet he's still a professor at a college university. So he's still able to teach a college course. He's still able to have his mind and brain and body work to be able to walk around and shake everybody else's hand that's a white Republican. But when it comes to a black woman that's a VP and a Democrat, oh, well, he was holding his cane. Oh, well, he had a stroke. JD, all you're doing is making excuses for somebody that I think is a grand wizard. That's what you're doing.
I think all you're doing is extrapolating something to make a point that he was a racist when he was shaking hands with other people.
Yeah, Republicans, white Republicans.
He didn't have the Bible in one hand
right.
and the cane in the other.
So why didn't he look at her? So why didn't he look at her then? Because he was
right at her.
Oh, he looked right at her. JD, I'm not gonna have a debate with you when you don't know what you're talking about. Go back and watch. Go back and watch the video. He gave her as much attention as any woman has given you in your entire frickin' life. He gave her a tenth of a second look, then he looked down the whole time. You frickin' idiot. You make excuses for racist morons. That's what you do. It's why you support Donald Trump. You support Donald Trump because you are another old, white, crusty Republican who calls into the show and defends the indefensible. There are even MAGA Republicans that said he should have shaked her hand. And let's just say, hypothetically speaking, JD, because I didn't hang up on you. Hypothetically speaking, JD, let's just say you're right, which you're not. Then why wouldn't his wife put out a statement? Why wouldn't his wife put out a video? Why wouldn't his wife take to social media and say, my husband had a stroke. That's why he didn't shake her hand. If he didn't have a stroke and if he didn't have a Bible in his hand and a cane in the other, he would have graciously shook her hand. Or why didn't he just put the cane down and then shake her hand? Why didn't he give the book to his wife to hold for 2 seconds? Because you're making excuses. She didn't put out a video. He didn't put out a video. He's capable of teaching a college course as a college professor, but you're telling me because he had a stroke, he's not capable of putting his hand out and shaking her hand. JD, that's what people like you do. You make excuses for the indefensible. And I double down on what I said yesterday. This man is despicable, piece of human garbage, racist, right-wing, crusty old white man, just like you.